At a public toilet near Lake Pukaki, a card payment of $1.50 can open the door. It looks like the price of a bathroom break. It is really an answer to a much larger New Zealand question. Property rates stay in one district. Visitors move. When a small community hosts a national landscape, the people using its busiest public facilities may greatly outnumber the people funding the local council. That mismatch sits behind a $2.5 million investment announced for public toilets in Mackenzie District in July 2026. The money comes from the International Visitor Conservation and Tourism Levy and supports upgrades and user-pays facilities. The district said toilet cleaning alone was approaching $1 million in its annual budget. The subject is ordinary enough to be ignored. That is exactly why it explains so much. Stand at the southern end of Lake Pukaki on a busy summer day. Cars and buses pause beside water that appears almost impossibly blue. Travellers photograph Aoraki in the distance. Some stay only a few minutes. They do not buy a house, receive a rates bill, or enroll a child at the local school. They still need parking, rubbish collection, safe water, roads, and a clean toilet. Tourism brings spending and jobs. It also concentrates small public costs in particular places. A visitor may pay for a room in Queenstown, buy fuel in Twizzle, and use a toilet beside Lake Pukaki. The economic benefit travels across businesses and districts. The cleaning invoice lands with the council that owns the toilet. New Zealand local councils fund services through a mix of property rates, targeted rates, fees, charges, and other income. Rates work reasonably well when the people using a service broadly match the homes and businesses paying for it. A tourism district breaks that simple link. Mackenzie District Council described the problem clearly in its 2024 long-term plan. It had 25 separate public toilet buildings or sites across the district. Maintaining them cost about $660,000 a year, including cleaning, power, repairs, maintenance, and insurance. Cleaning alone was budgeted at $415,000 a year. An extra peak season clean cost $143,000, equal to about 0.9% on rates in that year's proposal. None of those numbers is glamorous. Every one of them is part of the visitor experience. A toilet may be free at the door, but it is never free to operate. Someone unlocks it, replaces supplies, removes waste, fixes damage, pays for electricity, manages wastewater, and returns after the next bus. The council's public information in 2026 said some toilets were cleaned 2 or 3 times a day depending on location and season. The cost repeats long after construction workers have left. This separates two funding problems that are often mixed together. Capital pays to build or upgrade the facility. Operating money keeps it clean the next day, the next winter, and 5 summers later. A government grant can solve the first problem while leaving the second with local ratepayers. The 2026 investment matters, partly because it supports a user-pay system, not only a new building. During 2026, some busy Mackenzie locations charged $1.50 by electronic payment and $2 by coin. Elsewhere, visitors can make a donation using a quick response code scanned by a phone. The amounts are small, but the principle is large. Connect at least part of the ongoing cost to the people creating the demand. User pays is not a perfect answer. A public toilet protects health, dignity, the environment, and nearby businesses. A price can be difficult for a family, a person without a bank card, or someone who needs frequent access for medical reasons. Payment equipment also costs money to install and maintain. If the fee pushes people towards unsafe behavior, the community receives a new cost instead of a saving. Free access is not a perfect answer either. If every cost returns to general rates, a small number of property owners may fund a service used heavily by domestic and international visitors. Businesses benefit from tourism, but the benefit is uneven. A busy accommodation provider and a retired resident do not receive the same visitor income, even though both live inside the rating system. Mackenzie's model therefore uses several streams rather than one pure rule. There are direct charges at some high-use sites, donations elsewhere, rates paid locally, and money collected nationally at the border. The International Visitor Conservation and Tourism Levy began in 2019. In October 2024, it rose from $35 to $100 for most eligible international visitors applying for a visa or New Zealand Electronic Travel Authority. The levy can fund conservation, tourism infrastructure, and the operation of that infrastructure. It turns millions of separate arrivals into a national pool that can send money back to places carrying visitor pressure. There is still a gap. Domestic visitors use the same toilets, but do not pay the international levy. International visitors may pay the levy and still face a local door charge. Money collected nationally depends on ministers deciding where it goes. While councils know the local need in detail, fairness changes depending on where the story begins. Begin with the resident, and the question is why local rates should carry visitors from everywhere. Begin with the traveler, and the question is why a basic public health service needs a turnstile. Begin with the council, and the question is how to guarantee cleaning every day without a large and stable resident base. No single payer neatly matches a benefit shared this widely. The visitor receives a clean facility. Local businesses receive a better destination. Residents receive less pressure on streets and the environment. New Zealand protects the reputation of places used in the country's tourism promise. The payment at Lake Pukaki does more than open one door. It is a small attempt to make the funding follow the traveller. The view belongs to the whole country's idea of itself. The cleaning roster still belongs to somebody on Monday morning.